Herkese hoş geldiniz. Şimdiki oturumumuzda Portuma
Welcome all. We are here with Mr. Mesut. He will be talking about the advantages of Technoparks for game studios and the government incentives for the game companies, and the game incentives and the application methods in advertisements used by the game studios. Now I'd like to give the floor to him. I'm Mesut Numanoğlu. I'm one of the co-founders of my company. Now I would like to talk about the administrative and accountant-related issues that game studios don't like, most boring topics of this market. And I would like to provide some solutions to solve all these problems in a simple way. For like 10 years of my career that I have in my career, I spent them in Technoparks. In these Technoparks, I worked. All right, I will use the microphone. And with the advancement of the game studios, I've taken part in the development and updating process of the Technoparks. What are the advantages of the Technoparks? I would like to start with this, and then slowly I would like to talk about the contributions and incentives of the government and what kind of opportunities are waiting for us. So this is the whole process. Normally, if you are living in this country, you have to pay your tax. But there are two types of companies as told by the government: normal taxpayers and the companies in Technoparks. And the Technoparks, the companies are developing the projects, and they have the value-added tax exemptions from the software they produce. This exemption actually is for more employment in these offices. So how is this related to game companies? I can give an example from our Technopark. Yıldız Teknik University has developed a project called GameSub, for example, because in Technoparks, the project activity process is very demanding and tedious process, and not many people, not many companies know all the whole process. And speaking of the government incentives, everyone thinks that it is easy. But this project translated the whole process for everyone, in a way that everyone can understand. You can apply to the project if you want to establish a game studio. No matter what type of game you are going to produce, you can establish your company in the Technopark. What is the advantage then? As I said, one of the most challenging and boring errands that the game studios have to do is the administrative work. Normally, they hire someone to do all of the administrative works and paperwork. But the most important thing, actually, is to be in the right position and right time. What do I mean? And the government says that if you're producing software, then you can use Technoparks. The advantage of the Technopark or a game studio is that if you go in, you're exempt from the high value-added tax. And second of all, the workers that you employ is easy to employ because you will pay 50% less than the social insurance payment that normally other companies do. So another thing is that I also got a permission from the administrative side. I will provide a guideline for you because, in Turkey, the counselors wouldn't be providing what they know, but they think they provide a service. But instead, personally, I will try to provide a guideline for you, an easy to understand one, and it will be an example for you. As you enter, as you go in the Technoparks, you're exempt from the value-added tax that I said. Also, You don't have to pay any high value-added tax for the electronics that you buy. As you know, as Turkish people, we always think about the back doors. There are some precautions for those back doors. If you want to buy some electronic works or equipment, you don't have to pay the value-added tax, in short. So if you're going to if you are going to invoice, for example, you don't have to write down the value-added tax payment. Also, you are also exempt from the tax of the value-added tax. So, which means that the revenue directly goes to the treasury of the company. So comparing the company inside the Technopark and outside the Technopark from a personnel perspective is very different. Let me give an example. So the personnel spendings is about 495,000 Turkish liras. But if you're in the Technopark, it would be like 1 out of 4 less than this rate. And also there's a market values for self-sharers. When you are in the Technoparks, you have different types of revenues and incomes, and you're also exempt from the taxes for the advertisements. In short, this area is like a tax heaven for us. So government says that you will be exempt from taxes, but all you have to do is to produce and create product. The main aim is to optimize the employment. Although as you know, the Technopark, normal Technoparks, there are many national defense companies, but in these Technoparks, you can be there physically or in a hybrid manner. By the way, is there hybrid solutions in Techmar? Will there be a business model, a hybrid business model in Techmar? Because I talked about it. We had a discussion with the person in charge. Will there be? Yes. All right. Techmar will also have the hybrid model. Because our sector likes the hybrid model, hybrid business model very much. We don't really want to be physically in the office all the time. And also the recent report published by the government, there are more incentives by the government. So the working model is like 70% in a house and 30% in office working model. And for self-publishers as well, there are many incentives from the government, I might say. And recently, by the way, I'm not the person. I'm not actually, the advisor here. I'm a person who has experienced that. And the language that government speaks is different than the language of our sector. And the medium, the counselors are different, are speaking different language. And advisor normally is something that we misunderstood in Turkey, by the way. Advisor is seen as the broker, but as advisor is something that teaches you. It teaches you, and then you do something based on what you learn from them. Also, if you would like to create a project on PC or mobile, you have to tell the story of it to them. You need to explain the time period, the deadline, the general overview and framework of the game, and then the government want you to provide the map, the downed map, the outline of your project, so to speak. The first month, for example, I will create my money, and then I will employ these personnels. And the third month, I will do that and do this at blah blah. So you have to provide everything in detail and report everything in detail to the government. I think this is something that the students have there in courses as well, right? In universities. Bilal, do you say that in your universities? Yeah. You discuss about the project management, don't you? Yes. But for those who don't know, you can just type down map on Google and find it, and find out how it looks like. If you have kept address, you can use many platforms for the messaging. And the government also assigns advisor for you for free. So the government advisor assigned, for example, says that this is how it should be, and gives a feedback for you by looking at your map. For example, he or she says you wrote the Unity license right there on the document, but you didn't indicate the time period that you will use the Unity license. Very simple feedback might come from them, for example, which is very beneficial. And you can message with the advisor in any time, in any shape, in any manner you want. The mailing process is very fast. All you have to do in the project is something that you need to do before employing your personnel. You have to provide the CVs to the government first. For example, if you employ 2 engineers, by the way, the government is precise on that. They want engineer for sure. One of the priorities of the government is the employment of the engineers. They have to be engineer. And the annual salary of $50,000 is covered by the government. But the government says that you have to complete this project in 1 year. But hyper casual game companies will say that 1 year is too long for us because we're producing in 15 days. But there is another project, another sentence for them as well. You will do it, as I said, you have to do it. You have to complete a project in 1 year. And the government says they will provide the incentives. So there is a utmost limit in the salaries of the personnel salaries, about $50,000, and the government requests the payrolls of the personnel, of the workers, and at the last phase of the year, at the last month of the year, they want you to send the copy of the product to them. And the government requires you to publish your game because they pay only for published games. If you publish the game, you just send links to the government. I think in between 1 and 3 weeks, you get the refunded money. The government then transfers the money. In respect of licenses, you cannot exceed the limit of $50,000 to $50,000. Government only pays for some certain products, some certain softwares. You cannot want a CRM tool, for example, because government says you're producing a game. Why do you need CRM management, CRM product? If you do that, then you will get rejected. Adobe, Unity, Unreal, those 3 software license is granted for you, but it should not exceed the limit of $50,000 And also, there's also an incentive on mobile games, which incorporates the localization of the games, accommodation, and the preparation of the promotion materials, which is really important because after you make an agreement with the agency, you can get an invoice and you can give the invoice to the government, and government pays for you. So the government in that regard pays the money up to $200,000. And this is paid monthly. You just buy it from your pocket, and 1 month later, the government pays you this. But this is the part from the Ministry of Trade, the Commerce. But there's other side of the coin. It is from the small and medium industry development organizations. In self-publisher concept, sometimes we have some disagreements with some academics in the company. In past, there was a game, there's a game published by a self-publisher, and it was sold to the Miniclip. There are not too many self-publishers in Turkey, and governments have been providing some incentives for them. But the government helps you in terms of the third-party marketing, social media promotion, etc., up to $400,000. This is the same like what I said previously. You pay it, and then 1 month later, the government pays for you. One recommendation is from me is I think there will be no problem for giving this recommendation. The government has two sons. One is the taxpayers, and the other son is Technopark and Techmer companies. These companies have the priority in ministry and COSGAP, I mean small and medium industry development organizations. This means when a credit is published or an incentive is published, there is a statement below, very small one. It says in the document, it says that from small and medium enterprises in the Techmer or Technopark have a priority in terms of benefiting from these incentives. So this is what is required in the application process. They ask the question whether the company is in Techmer or Technopark. If you're in the Techmer or Technopark, then you get the first place.
Of course, that's not a brand. Halkbank is first had a project for companies in technoparks and similar areas. And what we spoke with Atakan at first was, well, Turkish Airlines had more exports than to Turkish Airlines, and we are designated as software companies, but our accounting code is still software company. We don't have even our own codes for gaming companies. And what Halkbank is saying that if you are in Technopark or in Techmer, I'm giving you a loan of 500,000 Turkish liras. Of course, this is a great amount of money. Don't pay it for a year. And at the end of the first year, pay it back with the lowest interest rates in Turkey for 36 months. You are going to have a self-publishing. The Ministry of Commerce have $400,000 liras of grants, and you know, usually in businesses earning money, revenue is of course very important, and also using the money properly is very important. Of course, as Turkish companies, we solve the earning money part, but we properly have to use that money as well. So if you're in Technopark, you'll have priority for loans as well. For example, a specific studio asks for 500,000 liras of loans, but they took 2 million. That's what the government is asking for. You have self-publisher, as you know, in Origin, Humble, Android Market Store, App Store in iOS. We have commissions that we pay in this area, and if it's not more than $100,000 in 1 year, the government is also paying back these commissions, 50% of these commissions. After these commissions are cut from you, you will give the government about the data of these commissions, then government will be paying you back half of that. Also in cost cap, and I've written the first gaming project. I was working with a company that I work with, and another cost cap director has said that you are making a games in which is showing satanism. And yes, this is not done for Turkey, this is done for the world. That is the point. Especially we have to have a different attitude, you know. If you don't like the game, don't let your child play it, is what they said to that director. And COSGAP is working properly now. We have our mailing contacts very quickly, and when you write a project, you will be designated an expert, and he might not be knowing a lot about project, but they will start talking about how to use the reports and adjust the application. Because the way the cost cap works is, if you create a project and you give it to the board, you will have loans and grants. Of course, grants are not paid back, but if you get an incentive stimulation, you will pay like half of it back. But if it's a grant, you wouldn't pay any of it back. Of course, gaming companies are also included in R&D companies, so they removed the limit up to 750,000 liras, and COSGAP is giving grants in 2022, and gaming companies can receive them quickly. And I'm also talking to hyper casual firms, because it is very difficult to get grants for that, but casual games, mid-core games, PC games, these are easier. Of course, as I said to Kevser as well, I'm going to have an example of a gaming firm, for example. Miss Cevher, I'm sorry, I forgot, I'm sorry. A PC game for the first time that received the 600,000 liras of grant, and another mobile game that was approved by COSGAP. I'm going to give you, by changing the names, you don't have to hire a consultant for that. If we are, of course, making the game, we can talk about the project, and you can see the examples, and you can use that example to create your own project presentation. If you have purchased devices, you can get also 200,000 liras of grants. And if you're in Technopark, you wouldn't be paying VAT. And for your personal costs, I think up to 5,000 Turkish liras per person for 12 months, they are paying the costs for personal 5,000 liras for 12 months. And there's 100,000 liras of grants. Of course, patents are very important because that is used for that. And if you also would like to get a consultant from universities, this consultant has to be a doctor, for example. We get a consultancy from professors in university. They will also give you a grant for that up to 35,000 liras. And there's also training support. You can get 30,000 liras of grant for personal training. Now, this thing that I'm going to say now is unknown, but there are specific banks in Turkey. Can I say their names? Turkey Economy Bank has an area called entrepreneurship banking. And if you have an approved COSGAP project, usually COSGAP pays you every 4 months. But if you have an approved project, a document will be given to you. And you can go to these banks with that approval document and you can get an guarantee letter free of charge, and they will pay you immediately, and you wouldn't have to wait for COSGAP to send you the payment. This could be a brand new company, even if you have 0 liras in the company. You can get that guarantee letter and you can get the payment earlier. Other than that, can we get questions from Zoom? I can answer questions if there are. To enter Technoparks or Techmark, you don't need a consultant because you are all gaming companies. You can apply in online to Yıldız Technical University and BAU. Of course, these grants and academic consultancy, they can give you a consultancy free of charge. And when you enter that area, you can use all these organizations' resources. You have to start in a proper area and you have to be doing it properly as well. The biggest reason for these grants are to produce new products. We want to see products and we want to also encourage people towards self-publishing. Yes, they are giving you $400,000 of incentives, but for example, in game companies, we didn't have a lot of gaming companies in that side, and about 100 million Turkish liras is the grants for the international investment. And I've also shared how can this be applied to, because these resources are very valuable in Turkey. These resources and information are not shared. If you share the information, it would be increasing the amount. And I think if we share these informations, I think the better brands, better publishers will be created. If there are questions, I can get them. We had an audio issue in Zoom, I think. From the room, can I? Zoom, I'm giving the microphone. Yes, you can hear me. Of course, in my experience, a company who is 4 years old can also benefit from that, or a newly founded company. And for the Ministry of Commerce, the incentives of those are also applying to the past year, 1 year. You have to be a member of Exporters Council, and I think IMIP in Istanbul it is called. And even if you have zero exports, you can be a member. But I think if you have more than 2 million euros of exports, I think you will be paying about 2% of your pay turnover. But if you're not a member, you wouldn't be able to get incentives from the ministry. But if you apply today, you can give all the documents and you can get the incentives for the past costs as well. But in COSGAP, you have to create a project and you have to have your project approved, and you're going to have different audits so that they can control it every 4 months. And it's, in Turkey, we have seen many different models, but COSGAP is managing and directing this very properly in a good way. I think there is a company, a gaming company, Miracle Works is in Yıldız, right? You're in Yıldız. And how much did you receive from COSGAP? Why is that? There are specific requirements for every grants. For example, you can only use this money for PR. You can only use this for advertisement or consultancy or hardware or employee costs. I mean, the thing is, did you work with a consultant? Yes. In the New Year's, we had an update in COSGAP. They are saying that you have to hire people with specific standards. There are two options. If you have exhausting employees, you can get a grant for that. But if you are hiring new people, even if you pay 10,000, can we use it for existing personnel? Yes, we can. In 2022, we are including current employees. Now, right now, how many people? We have 5 people. You can get 12 times 5,000 times 4 people. So you can get that much. It was 4,200 liras last year. Now this year is 5,000. I mean, the purpose of this is not giving grants for the entirety of your company. They are trying to help them. If they are giving all the capital, it's going to have to become a governmental institution. The biggest advantage for Technoparks is, of course, insurance exemption for 50% of social security assumption is extremely important. And of course, you have the employee costs and the income paid by COSGAP, and you're exempted by the social security because of the Technoparks incentives. and I think they are giving preference to Technopark companies. Of course, yes, in the board, of course, there are people looking for fault, but if it's a Technopark company, they also would like to prefer that because it is also supported by the government and approved by the government to be included in Technopark. In my own company, for example, we have taken 600 Turkish liras from COSGAP and grants, and when we reached $20 million of valuation, COSGAP shared us, and they have shown that we have gone international, and none of them require any physical documents or signs. If you have financial signatures, online signature, you can just add that to that, and you can apply online. Everything is online. You show the project, present the project, you online as well, and every documents are online as well. And with the pandemic, government is preferring online as well. We used to have the boards face to face, but government is using Zoom as well. You just receive a Zoom link and you present, you have question and answer, and they immediately answer you. They would say these are the problems, you can fix that and come back. Let's say the project is not approved, you can go back. It used to be not the case. You can only apply for once a year, but currently it's not the case. You can go back and improve your presentation and documentation. Yes, Yıldız Technical University Technopark is collaborating with Oyunder, and they are saying that I think it's called about Gamescom, and I think I'm registered as well. So they are talking with the government about it. The gaming companies want to go to Gamescom. Of course, it's a serious cost. So they are asking the government if they will be able to cover the costs of about 70% or 50%. I don't know about it. Are you a company? If it works, if it's approved, I think you will be able to use it. I thought it would be personal, but if you are also paid that from the company accounts, I think if it's approved, the government is very easy about that. They're currently, I think we'll see each other in Berlin, and I would be able to help you there as well. Of course you can. It's not just me. Technoparks and Techmers are saying that as well. For example, in Yıldız, I am not a representative of Yıldız Technopark, but I've spent years in Technopark. I've created that saying, which is a Technopark kid, and most of my career was there. We had Yıldız has a project called Games Up. Do you have online applications? Yes, you apply it online and you present your project and they approve you. It is very simple. Do you give them consultants from Techmer? To people who have approved the project in Yıldız, for example, you applied, let's say, you will receive the results as an email and they would say, congratulations, you're approved, and they will send you a PDF file about what you have to do. And they are saying you have to enter here, you have to do that and this. They have made the process very easy and you don't need to hire a consultant for that. You enter it. If you're a gaming company, if you're producing, are you self-published? Okay, you have income, right? Not yet, all right. Yeah, they would approve it. I think government is acting very good at that. If you are producing, if you are a game company that produces, then you are inside. I think also Yıldız University did it in collaboration with Istanbul Development Agency and for Tekmer, for Bahçeşehir University as well. The government sees this industry and sees that it's growing. That's why they want to invest in this. Yıldız Games Up also introduces you to investors also. They act as a mentor to them. Yıldız also has a fund for that. They could also invest in you as well. So why Yıldız? Of course, in the last 3 years among the Technoparks, I think 89 was the last number, maybe 96, I'm not sure. Close to 90 projects they have, and this is the leading Technopark with the recent president of the university. They also created Games Up with the Istanbul Development Agency, and the idea is come here, let's have you in a hybrid way. You create your game, have tax exemptions, let's give you mentors and teach you about how to make money, and they will also help you find investors, and they are also are included in the investment of a lot of companies that are inside them. They were sending an expert for all of my investment meetings. Did you have an expert for your investment meeting from Yıldız? Did an expert come with you? Yeah, but you had the chance, right? There's a professional that is, they have a professional team specifically working on the investment. Maybe Tekmer would have that as well, so that expert would come to represent you. If you get an investment, it would be their investment as well, so you don't have to hire a consultant. You just enter the website and you approve, especially for indie gaming companies. Bahçeşehir, Tekmer, Yıldız, Technopark, Istanbul Technical University, Technopark, you have to be included in those areas because you're a gaming company. It's much easier. The procedures are much easier, and you will have so much advantages, so many advantages. You will be exempted from the taxes, and you will have a lot easier way to fund yourself. And I know Yıldız has a hybrid model, and as they said, Bahçeşehir University, Bilişim Valley, all of them have hybrid models, and the government also has a publication about the 75% of the work being done outside. You only have to spend 25% of your time in the Technopark. Is there any other questions? It was really valuable. If you could also share a link, it would be great. Thank you. About the grants, that's not the case, but for a VAT exemption, let me tell you, I have also studied that before. I will give you, yes, go ahead. We are not able to hear the question, so we cannot translate. What you have to do is there is a rule about 25% to 75%. Of course, that, and the experts would say that how to do it. So if you have somebody working in Izmir, you are going to designate him as outside duty, and in Istanbul office you are going to have somebody who is going to come to the office 1 week out of a month. You can definitely solve that. There is positive discrimination against gaming companies. They will help you about that. Yes, also, if I'm mistaken, please also correct me. For the income tax, I think in Technopark you're exempted from VAT, but on the other side you only have no VAT on your R&D. But in Technopark you're exempted from VAT for your software. Other than that, there is no difference between Techmar and Technopark. I think I only know about you in terms of being a Techmar. I think that is the first and only. I think Professor Güven was that. Güven Çatak had that, I think. But Technopark is physically much bigger. They also have a wider consultancy. I can clearly say that in 10 years, maybe I've seen the death sentence of a lot of entrepreneurs. So they help you survive. And Technopark is made inside the government, and is supported by COSGAP, but Technopark is not the case. Technopark equals the government. I think no private universities have Technoparks, right? Okay, because it's supported by COSGAP. You also are supported by COSGAP, but Technoparks are fed by government indirectly. You are included in government directly. People who are making $500 million, for example, they don't have VATs and income taxes. All the revenue is left to them. They have to purchase new hardware and they don't pay VAT. But I don't know, for the business side, the least loved area for a gaming company is the most important one, the business side. You have to have a proper financial balance, and government allows you such a wide space for this. I've seen a lot of companies that they can cover about 30% of their employment costs by government in Technopark. So did I answer that? Okay, any other questions? Yes. We are unable to hear the question. I didn't say that. It's not me saying it. The government shares that if they announce a grant and at the end of the document, they say TTOs, Techmars, R&D, free zones, and companies who work on software are prioritized for this. When you read these things, you can see that, but just because you are in Techmar and Technopark, of course, others will be reaching the information at the same time, but you will be prioritized because you are in Technopark, you are in the government. You are all also audited before going through the Technopark process. So the academics of the government also evaluate them and consider them. So Technopark gives you the Another hat being that you will become a Technopark company. You are audited by the government every month, so where you are connected directly is the Ministry of Commerce. So your success is the success of the government. That's why they give you that area, but you shouldn't forget these processes are going like only you are this one who is informed. Thankfully, Bahçeşehir and Yıldız universities made it so easy for these hyper casual firms. For example, the biggest issue is how are we going to write the projects if we are in Technopark, and they are saying now 15 days of a project is also approved because they changed their identities and they evolved for this process. Yes, we have ERP companies and national defense companies in this area, but combine them all doesn't make up one gaming company. About your hyper casual project, for example, they would have revised it. I believe that we are living that currently, and as they've said, for the first time in Turkey, a university with a gaming division has created Tekmer. Do you want to fly? Bow is here. You can apply to Tekmer. Güven Çatık is there. That is the factory. But other than that, grants and incentives, these are easy to do. Yes. All right. What should we care about? How should we decide between applying to Technoparks or Tekmer? First of all, what should care about is if Güven Çatık is there. That's all I can say. If we have Bow right here and indies are here and only one Tekmer is where I can recommend right here. They are here, you can see. And if the people want to apply it, you can apply it directly. And about Technoparks, everybody of course prefers their own provinces Technoparks because as you know, you can only work 75% of the time outside of the Technopark, and for the 25% of the time you have to be in Technopark, so you have to care about it. I'm graduated from Istanbul University, but I've spent more time in Yıldız University, so I can say I am an honorary Yıldız. And if you are in Istanbul, definitely in Yıldız Technical University, because there's a great trend in that university. A great gaming companies are grouping up in there, and you are thinking together, you're at the same area, you can do your benchmarks together, you can have resources that you can use together. I think you said Gamescom, right? I never heard any other Technopark working on similar gaming projects, and Yıldız says that give our company 70% of a grant so that we can take them to Germany for an expo. There is an event in Tokyo as well. It was a very great event. So what's important is quickly answering. How many Technoparks are focused on gaming? Only İTÜ and Yıldız. Now we have Bow edit, Boğaziçi edit. I think Bahçeşehir, İTÜ and Yıldız University. I think in the recent time, unfortunately, İTÜ has lost the trend. I think they have a sandbox hackathon next week, I think. If it's networking, it's inside. Crystal Software was in Technopark as well. So networking is extremely important, and you can reach the network in Technopark. As I can say, I have done 60% of my networking in Yıldız and rest of it in Bahçeşehir University. I think only these two are really important. One of them has Güven Çatak, other one has Güven Games Up. I'm sorry, I've constantly spoke. Thank you to everybody. Hopefully this would have been beneficial to all of you. Thank you, thank you. I think I've gone over my time about 7 minutes.